Welcome to Under Two Capes. I am Jared,
And I'm Lad.
and today, as longtime hearers of the show will know, Lad and I did an episode I want to say a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
that was basically what makes Superman such a fantastic character as a comic book character, as a movie character, and such. We're gonna do the same thing, but with Spider-Man, as No Way Home is amazing. So we figured I'll just talk about Spider-Man. So, Lad, you're the Spider-Man aficionado of the show. Why is Spider-Man so great?
Yeah, so with Spider-Man, he's a unique character because he is, to start off with, a teenager. He is young, he's relatable,
kind of a teenager.
Kind of a teenager.
In some comics.
Young adult teenager. He really fits in with the target demographic. When we started reading and watching, he's just like us. We could be Spider-Man, and he doesn't have a lot of money. He's trying to do the right thing. He doesn't know, he's pretty smart, but he's not like Iron Man level genius, so he's just trying to do the right thing, and he gets this opportunity through his powers to do great things, and he has to make a choice between using his powers selfishly or using them for the greater good. And the one defining trait of Spider-Man is that he always puts other people ahead of himself, that he always has to sacrifice stuff in his own life to help other people. And he really goes above and beyond other heroes in this regard, that he faces these challenges where his personal life gets ruined because of what he has to do.
Like sacrificing his marriage to heal Aunt May, sacrificing his whole identity in order to fix the multiverse. Yeah,
spoilers.
This dude's been put through the ringers.
Yeah,
the movie's been out for a week. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
we can spoil it now.
But
the three Spider-Men don't show up.
Right. Yep. But he really encapsulates a lot of the elements of a hero you would expect. And he was unique when he first created because he was one of the first teenage heroes that had his own comic run, as opposed to just being a sidekick. He had a lot of responsibility that's normally given to an adult. And I think it connects well with the audiences because, you don't get Spider-Man powers, but you have powers and responsibilities of your own in your everyday life.
You can be a hero no matter your age or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're running a company, or you have a job, and you have responsibilities people take care of, and you can act selfishly, or you can try to help out other people, even if it puts more difficulty on your side. So that connects with a lot of people.
Do you know how he got the name Spider-Man?
No.
So the story goes, Stan wanted to make a new superhero, and he thought, okay, I'm gonna make him a teenager now. That'll be a way to differentiate from him, like Iron Man and all that stuff. So he thought, what am I gonna call him? So he thought, wouldn't it be cool if a dude like stuck to walls? So what am I gonna call him? It's Insect Man, Mosquito Man. And he saw a spider on his wall, and he goes, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah. No, that's true. Yeah.
It's sad that Stan Lee couldn't see the three Spider-Men together, because he always said Spider-Man was his favorite creation. Yeah, his favorite child, in other words.
Definitely. And it's interesting to see how the character Spider-Man from the original Amazing Fantasy has grown over the last 65-ish years or so. Like how it started off with amazing success and prompted so many spin-off and other titles, and has grown into such a pop culture icon that he is one of like the most well-known superheroes alongside Batman and Superman. Spider-Man is probably like the face of Marvel, I would say, kind of like.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah,
definitely. Iron Man's definitely trying to take his spot with the MCU and everything, but definitely before Iron Man, Spider-Man really had like the presence of Marvel.
Well, the way I heard it said once by comic historian is that DC has the Trinities, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, but Marvel, it's not so much as Trinity being individual characters. It's like really three families. You have the Avengers family, the X family, then you have the Spider family. So he is one of the pinnacles of Marvel,
right?
And he has been ranked as like the most popular superhero of all time,
right? Him being a teenager is a big part of that, because adults can like him, and it's also relatable for teenagers and kids. Spider-Man, as opposed to maybe like some kids or teenagers may not be a fan of like a 40-year-old, 50-year-old alcoholic Wolverine that's gruffing around and stuff like that, even though he is super cool. Spider-Man fits into the target demographic a bit better than that.
Yeah. Or a 40-year-old drunk playboy philanthropist who walks around in iron armor.
Right.
That's not actually iron.
Yep.
But yeah, so the way I see it, the thing about Spider-Man is that I'd say if there's one character that I would say more encapsulates who Superman is on Marvel, it would be sort of like Spider-Man, because he's always looking for the good in people, which is why we saw this in No Way Home. He's trying to help the villains,
right? And
he always puts others above himself, as we mentioned. So I can see how he would be like sort of ranked on the Superman ranking, even though he's obviously not as strong, fast, and can't fly like Superman. Even though I think they established it that his clone Ben Reilly can fly now.
Maybe it could have been.
They fly now?
Yeah, they fly now.
Yeah, I would say Spider-Man probably has the greatest rogues gallery of all of Marvel.
Yeah, Spider-Man has an insane.
He's like their version of Batman.
Right.
He actually kind of is Marvel's Batman.
No, it's true. I mean, Spider-Man has some of the most, he is so cool that he has 2 arch nemesis. He has
Doc Ock. He has 6 of them.
Yeah, well, 6 of them, all of them, but like Doc Ock and Green Goblin are both of his arch nemesis. They're both top tier villains that have major story arcs, and his like ultimate opposite. A lot of heroes usually have one opposite. Like Green Lantern is obviously, Sinestro, and other characters have, Flash and Reverse Flash. And a lot of heroes have, their opposite, their arch nemesis, Batman and Joker. But Spider-Man has 2. It's always been Doc Ock and Green Goblin have major storylines and character developments, like we've seen in Siege, Superior Spider-Man, Siege. Other storylines where Green Goblin takes everything from him. The night Gwen Stacy died, he's really done it. And they, aside from those 2 guys, he has the Sinister Six and many other supervillains that, Lizard, Kraven. There's plenty of villains in his rogues gallery that.
Plus, his costume became a character.
Right. Venom, like symbiote. Like the symbiote is like Venom was so popular coming off of Spider-Man that they had to make his own character and made him like,
Yeah. I'm like, wait, what?
Right.
I couldn't believe it when I said, okay, so that's the suit. Like I kind of got because my introduction to Venom was the Spider-Man 3 movie. I know it was a really crappy intro to the character, and I'm like, I like the comic book version way better.
Right. Yeah.
But they got the basic story beats. I'm like, No,
it's true. There's a lot of fun storylines with Spider-Man, and the characters give a lot of personality to him, like memorable villains that they can come back to. Like the Sinister Six roster is always changing, but he has his allies, like some other Spider characters, and
Spider-Gwen,
right?
Miles, some Spider-Ham,
right? Some of those, and it's funny that those are a little bit more modern and help drive the success. But even before that, he's had his Uncle Ben, his Aunt May, his relationship with the rest of the Avengers. He's always a bit more distant, and sometimes he joins the Avengers because it helps sell titles for the Avengers. And
yes, because actually, to tell you that story, I recently found out by watching Comic Pop. They're awesome. But anyway, so what happened was, this is a Bendis story,
right?
It's one of the truly fantastic things Bendis has ever done in Marvel. So he takes over the Avengers. This is after Avengers Disassemble, where Scarlet Witch takes out everyone. So he's like, okay, why isn't Spider-Man on the Avengers?
Right.
So why aren't our popular characters on the Avengers? Marvel went, well, because he's a loner. And then Bendis is like, is he though? Because there's a whole history series called Marvel Team Ups, where it's literally just Spider-Man teaming up with people.
It's like Batman.
His whole
Brave
thing.
And Bold.
Yeah, he teams up with everyone.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? So you got like Spider-Man, Wolverine,
right?
The Sentry, who's basically Superman. Luke Cage. There's this fantastic moment from that series where they're interrogating Electro. And Luke Cage gets shocked because he tries to punch him, and Spider-Man's like, I mean, I wouldn't do that. And then Luke Cage turns to Spider-Man and he goes, okay, so what do you normally do and interrogate him? And Spider-Man goes, well, I normally just web up my fists and beat the answers out of them. So Luke Cage goes, do me up.
Yeah,
exactly. He does it, and then Electro just faints.
Yep. No, it adds a lot of fun,
Yeah, he's one of those characters. He's kind of like a less crass version of Deadpool, in that he's always doing like jokes, and he even made one of the funniest part of Civil War is when he's fighting Falcon, and Falcon goes, I don't know how many fights you've been in, but we normally don't talk this much.
That's definitely a point we could talk about a bit, that I feel like in the comics, they're always in the olden days, right?
The olden times.
They were fun, exciting, colorful, but not every hero was a jokester. Like a lot of heroes were serious, maybe like Iron Man. They were fun and they would make some jokes, but a lot of times they were serious. But Peter Parker, he was always a jokester. Like in his comics, he would talk to himself, to the viewer, the reader, and would talk about his life, and he would make jokes about the villains, and it was very fun and exciting. And nowadays, a lot of superheroes in the MCU, everyone's a jokester. Like Thor's a jokester, Captain Marvel,
which can grate on you, and it's kind of ruined the superhero film genre, I think, in the eyes of the general, because everyone expects now that's why Zack Snyder's I'm convinced Zack Snyder's movies, because everyone keeps saying, even like Matthew Vaughn, the director of Kingsman, said, I wanted to make a Superman movie that's like more colorful and bright. I'm like, have you read Superman comics? They've never been that bright.
Right.
But it's like now everyone expects superhero movies to be this like bright and happy.
Right. A lot of that. Yeah, you're right.
And I'm like, oh my God.
It was fun. It was really fun and exciting because,
I mean,
jokes and stuff.
They did it with the right characters, though, in the MCU. Like Iron Man, of course, he's going to be a jokester.
Right.
Spider-Man, yeah. And they gave Captain America the usual funny line, like language.
Right. They did a lot of things with it. Some, maybe we feel that it may have gone a little too far, and we should start doing more diverse characters. In the sense, not everyone needs to be a jokester. Even though I love other
genres,
but, right?
That's why I think Eternals did bad, because really, Eternals was an okay movie.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it was great, because it wasn't. It wasn't the best, but I think the reason why a lot of people didn't like it, based on the reviews, is that it was too dark and low and slow.
We got too used to like joking around and stuff like that. But
I'm like, I don't know if you guys have read comics, but it's not all jokesters.
Right. I think, Spider-Man definitely helped set that precedent of fun and excitement. And I think we've taken it a little too far with the movies lately, but Spider-Man was different. He was fun. He was, you would want to see what's his story going on. That was exciting.
And I would argue he has some of the most legendary stories of Marvel, or some way linked to him. It's him and the X-Men, I think, are tied for like the most well-known Marvel storylines, House of M, or like Death of Gwen Stacy or such.
Right.
Let me ask you this: who's your of the three? Which is your favorite Spider-Man?
Oh, favorites of the live action.
The live action movie Spider-Man.
Oh man, I mean, I've always loved Andrew Garfield a lot.
I love that scene where he first where he's like apprehending a carjacker. The carjacker takes out the knife and he goes, "Oh no, my weakness, knives." And he just webs them.
Right.
He webs them like 80 times. I'm sorry, I don't know how this thing works.
Yeah,
that was so good. That's the one thing about Garfield. He got the quips down.
Yeah, he was really great with the quips. I mean, the original Spider-Man movies, they were funny, but he wasn't always joking around, which was okay. He didn't need to always be a joker.
It was okay, but Spider-Man, that's like Deadpool being serious. I'm looking at you, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield was really when they decided to actually lean into all that jokester. Like he was making fun of his villains like all the time. I remember making fun of the Rhino and everything.
Yeah, he's like, really, dude?
Yeah, it's like,
you even made fun of him in No Way Home.
Exactly, right?
He's like, yeah, I'm lame. I thought of doing a weird ass Rhino costume.
Exactly.
Or like, all right, do you have a suit, or you're gonna go into battle just a cool youth pastor?
Yeah,
that's great.
It's really fun stuff. They definitely did a lot of fun. I grew up with Andrew Garfield, but I mean, I've never actually watched the Tobey Maguire movies.
Really?
I've never actually sat down and watched all of them through. I've seen clips.
Of all people.
I've watched some of it.
You're a Spider-Man fanboy.
It was before my time a little bit, but I really enjoyed what I've seen from it. And I really think he's a great Spider-Man also.
He's good.
It's just, I didn't grow up with him.
So in terms of me, I'm between Garfield and Holland in terms of
Holland.
I love Tobey Maguire. There wouldn't be an MCU if the Spider-Man movies were not popular. And that is show that you can make a really good superhero movie, because previously we had like Batman and Robin and such. But I think of the character, I mean, of the iterations, I think that I love the quips of Garfield. I love the Peter Parker of Garfield.
Yeah.
And I also felt Tom Holland found that nice little quippy, like he's talking in the middle of battle and annoying people, like component of Spider-Man. We saw this in Civil War. He catches the Winter Soldier's fist. You have a metal arm? That's awesome.
No, Tom Holland.
He's like, hey, Mr. Stark, do you remember in that one Star Wars movie when they're on the snowy planet?
Yeah, that was good. Tom Holland is really great. I've really grown to him more over the years, especially with the latest movie. I think he has one. I think his movie is the best Spider-Man movie now. This is the
first good Spider-Man 3.
Right. Like Spider-Man 3, right. And even got to it, right? But he's
the first.
He's great. You know, definitely a new perspective where he's a wide-eyed child getting involved with all the superhero business, trying to figure out his place and everything.
And at least we saw for the first time Spider-Man interacting with the Avengers.
Right. That was
never
really
had
nice.
that. And they actually made a funny joke about that in the movie where it's like, I'm on the Avengers. Oh, that's so cool. What is that?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
Are you in a band?
Yeah.
That was probably a reference to Spider-Gwen. I just noticed that.
Right, that's true, yeah.
There's probably a black Spider-Man somewhere in the multiverse. But
yeah.
They also dropped a Miles reference where like he's interrogating his uncle in the enhanced interrogation mode.
Yeah.
I'm not a girl, I'm a boy.
Yeah. No, there's so much good stuff. That's the good thing about Spider-Man is even if they've rebooted him a lot, they've always done new stuff.
He's getting better.
They keep doing better stuff with him. It's more
My
fun.
favorite Holland scene that's not in the third movie is in the first movie, actually, when he's chasing like the Shocker in the van. And then he's running across a golf course because he can't web. He's like
yeah. That was good. It's like, oh,
that's good. I've never seen it. Because in the game, that's what happens.
Right. Yeah. No, it reminds me of like some of like the old games where you would just web onto clouds or something. And
I love the memes that are like, what's Spider-Man? Where's Spider-Man's webs going to? Uncle Ben.
Oh no. Oh boy. But yeah, we've talked a bit about his movies where those, you know, redefined Spider-Man when we saw that first live action movie back in 2002 where that introduced a lot of
2000
people.
Actually
2000, yeah, you're right.
I think 2000 because I think the Twin Towers were up, and actually, no, it was 2000. It was after 2001.
Oh, okay, got it. You know, early 2000s when they basically that really reset the genre of a superhero movie.
You have a good one,
right? Where you could take had some fun elements, a little make believe, but it was serious still. Like it wasn't just a joke.
Plus, his Spider-Man 2 is listed as the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Exactly.
I would dispute. I would put Zack Snyder's JL up there, but still, I'm just kidding. Doc Ock was great. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. I think he freaking nails it. Yeah. I know. Actually, let me ask you this: who's your favorite Spider-Man villain?
Ooh,
in general, comics, movies, whatever.
Oh man, that's a tough
one. I know it's a tough one because he has so many good ones.
He has so many good ones. But
mine is Venom.
Venom.
Bad guy who turned good.
Yeah, bad guy who turned good. I'm Doc Ock. I have to go. Doc Ock is he's like the ultimate.
Yeah, he's pretty. He had one of the greatest Spider-Man runs of all time, Superior Spider-Man.
Exactly. I really love him where he, he's scientist. He creates all this awesome technology, the robot arms. Who doesn't like a robot arm?
Yeah.
Robot arms.
There's this great scene in Hickman's Avengers where, and it was kind of confused me at first because Spider-Man is blasting these kids. He's like, you cretins, he uses some high up English. I'm like, why does Peter Parker talk like that? And I look at the date. Oh, this is Doc Ock. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
It was kind of jarring when I'm like, oh, okay, I like this.
Yeah, no.
When I saw and the suit looked for Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's
edgy. With the arm, with the legs.
Yeah,
that they kind of have. I love when they had him fight Doc Ock in the movie with the spikes out.
That was so great.
Yes, they finally did that.
I'm so happy to see that, honestly.
So I'm like, it's about damn time.
Right. It's funny because Toby's suit always got so easily destroyed in his movies. He was very.
It kind of did in the No Way Home movie too.
Right. Yeah.
to the point where he had to wear it inside out because someone stained it.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, he has fun rogues gallery with that. You want to see more of the villain. Plus, it's fun.
His villains are sympathetic, I think,
Yeah.
as opposed to like Iron Man's villains, or like no one feels sympathy for the Red Skull. Let me put it that way. If you do, I'm very concerned.
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
But I also think with Spider-Man, he's I would say the most grounded Marvel superhero, in that he's not like this big god that has a magic hammer. This dude that has this super advanced tech suit. I mean, he kind of does in the movies and sometimes, but he's the most down to earth. So I think that's part of what makes him the most relatable. And the fact that he's young, he goes through all these things that we've all grown up experiencing, puberty, girls, and stuff. Are you more for Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, Mary Jane's always been the staple for the longest time.
I did like how we got movies with both.
Right, we got movies with both. Gwen Stacy's a cool character. I guess
I'm not talking about Spider-Gwen.
Right. Obviously Spider-Gwen is Ghost Spider is really fun.
I'm surprised they haven't had Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy Spider-Gwen get together.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. When they brought her back, she
has powers.
I feel like when they brought her back as Spider-Gwen, they kind of made her a new character where she doesn't I mean, obviously she's from another world, so she doesn't have the same relationship.
Is the lizard? I love that. That's
right?
so cool.
Yeah.
I just feel like if they do an Andrew Garfield, at one point in the Andrew Garfield movies, they should have done that. They could do it now, maybe because they've established the multiverse, and just put Spider-Gwen in there, and then there you go, she's back.
Right. No, it's true. They could definitely do that.
But do you like Mary Jane or Michelle Jones?
Oh. I mean, I guess they just make a point of that just so you don't think about MJ as too much. But I mean, it's MJ.
I like the MJ in the Holland movie. She was funny.
She's MJ, she's good.
Her last name is even Watson. They make a point of saying that in there.
No.
But I liked her as a character. It was kind of jarring at first when her name's not Mary Jane, but I'm like, well, who the hell cares? It's MJ. Yeah. Still call her MJ. We're MJ. All good.
She's reddish hair.
Yeah. I'm more, if I have to pick, because I'm such a fan of the Andrew Garfield, probably Gwen Stacy, but I know she's destined to like lose her head.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Gwen Stacy. I feel like a lot of iterations just show MJ now, and Gwen isn't around as much, but
because she died, and like you said, they made Spider-Gwen someone else,
right?
And then the last time they tried to bring Gwen Stacy back to life, it didn't exactly turn out so well. Clone Saga,
right? Exactly. So yeah, I guess, I mean, MJ's classic. I'm fine with MJ, but Gwen is always a special place. I really appreciate Gwen.
Do you think that I know I asked you about this already, but we're recording. Do you think that the college trilogy is going to bring in a Gwen Stacy type, since we've already had that MJ character?
Right, for the live. I mean, it's really possible that they do,
because they met in college. I think in the comics
it may have been something like that. I think you're right. It's funny because he's only in high school for the first 18 comic books of Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Which is only his first 3.5 years in the 60s, right? So way back. But I think they could introduce Gwen Stacy, introduce a new character. I wonder if people might feel upset though, if like he's kind of like cheating on MJ and hanging out with Gwen Stacy.
He moved on from MJ.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like, spoilers, at the end of the movie, he
was gonna tell her who he is,
right? And then he saw, she had the scratches, and she probably remembered what Doctor Strange said, where you're trying to live two lives, and it's you're gonna fail at both of them. And seeing how it puts the people he loves in danger, it might be better if he didn't, talk to her, right? Or like connect with her, because she could be put in danger. But obviously it's still open. Like maybe he would eventually go back to her, because obviously he's still he wants to go to MIT.
It depends on where he goes to college.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. I think they could do it.
They could. I could see them going Gwen Stacy, and please, for the love of God, don't kill her, because immediately we can see it coming. anyone that's read Spider-Man comics knew from the first Andrew Garfield movie when they introduced Gwen Stacy, okay, at some point she's going to die.
Yeah.
Even when they bring in the Green Goblin, I was like, oh no.
Oh no, yeah.
I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Because I just wish, don't follow the comics in this one thing. Do something new and original.
Right, yeah. No, that's
at least don't kill her within the first like movie or so of bringing her in. You have to build up to that.
Yeah. So what do you think about like the technology Spider-Man has? Not him specifically, but his world of characters, like his villains and his his villains or the corporations around him, like Oscorp, their technology, and they're also where their tech is,
it's very grounded, I would say. They try and because remember in the Ultimate Comics, the Oz formula turns Norman into Green Goblin is based on the super soldier serum, which is trying to create super soldiers. But again, it plays off of Marvel being very scientifically and very at least minimally fantastical. They even explain Thor being a god because it's an alien that was perceived as a god.
Right. Yeah. Like aliens, ancient alien or something.
Yes. Kind of. Cue the meme of the dude with the hat. Cue the dude with the hair.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so I mean, it seems very grounded. It's not like
it could be real.
Granted, a lot of what Tony Stark has in his house, like the holograms, they can just do this. That seems a little bit hard to believe right now.
Yeah.
That takes place now when he could do that. Oscorp, for the most part, seems like okay, because I could see us having like a flight suit and like a glider thing, even though that's very impractical. Exposes the pilot to gunfire.
Right, yeah.
But I'm like, besides that, and I think it's pretty dope. What about you?
I really like a lot of the tech they have, but also their science. A lot of the villains, how they're related to science accidents, not just that
that too, yeah.
They didn't just get superpowers randomly, or they didn't build their own tech. A lot of them have, like the Lizard, he was trying to create a cure to fix his arm, and lizards or some reptiles can grow their limbs back, so he tried to recreate that, and then he was transformed into a monster. And other characters like Sandman and Dr. Octopus, where he gets fused to his mechanical arms. A lot of these villains have crazy medical science problems happen to them, where it feels kind of like something scary, can science go too far, that idea, and you create these lizard monsters grounded, right? And it makes it fun and exciting, where it's tied into a bit of realism, maybe this could be some crazy science stuff.
Sandman's origins, that he got caught in a particle accelerator,
right? Something exactly like that. Norman, where he has that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality there, and which kind of feels like it could almost be real.
Schizophrenia exists.
Yeah, exactly. I love how he has a lot of science related heroes, where it's some sort of science accent.
As opposed to Thor, the god of tricks is my enemy.
Which we still love Thor.
Still love Thor. I'm just bringing up as compared to other people.
Yep. And a lot of the equipment the villains use are fun, like Doc Ock's arms, the glider, some of his other villains that he's encountered, like Shocker, Vulture. Mr. Negative has some crazy stuff also.
Yeah, I've seen him. He looks really weird. Which Spider-Man suit is your favorite?
That's a good question. That's actually we could do a whole
we should probably do an entire episode just on his suits, because he's like Batman.
Yeah, we could do that comparison episode I was telling you about. That'd be fun for Spider-Man or for Batman to do that.
Yeah.
But
currently my favorite, it's either the new one in No Way Home, the one with the gold, it's the hybrid suit, because that looks really cool.
Integrated.
And if I have to pick one from the comics, probably the one, what's that Spider-Man story that you got and I got now too?
Ends of the Earth.
Ends of the Earth. The armor he gets in Ends of the Earth.
Spider Armor Mark III.
Yeah,
that's really
that just looks so cool.
It is really nice suit that he can use. It has anti-Sinister Six tactics built into it. So
basically, Batman kind of had that, because when he came back from the dead, he wanted to test his Bat family to see how they were doing. So he dressed up as another character.
Really?
Yes. it's called the Insider Armor that mimics all the powers of the Justice League. He has heat vision mode, Green Lantern constructs. I'm like, what the hell, man?
That's crazy, actually. That's good.
So what's your favorite suits, man?
Favorite suits? Oh man, the red and blue classic's always great, and
he has now.
Red and black is also a good variation.
I love that so much.
There's so many good suits, but like we said, the Superior Spider-Man suit is fantastic. Fantastic.
The red V and then turns into black.
Yeah. 2099 is a great suit. He has
I love the wings and all that.
Yeah, the spikes and the giant red.
It's very 90s.
Yeah, he is a great look on him. I had so many. I collected so many different costumes in one of the Spider-Man games. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones, but
which Spider-Man game was that?
Spider-Man Unlimited. It was on mobile. It was a runner.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the runner game. Yeah,
the runner game.
I remember. I think I'm trying to think because I think I played a Spider-Man game where you could use like a lot of suits. I don't remember.
Right. It may have been something like that. There's also the Future Foundation suit, which
that's pretty cool. You mean the all white one? They can use it in a Lego game.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a fun suit.
It's an interesting idea. It's not very practical because look, look at that white speck. That must be Spider-Man. Let's shoot him because it's an easy target.
Right. Oh, speaking of that, the bulletproof spider suit that he used in Spider Island, the Sonic suit that he had.
The one that Kane used. I thought was so cool how it had the Yes.
It has two modes. It can shift in two modes. It has one that's yellow where it's the bulletproof, and then it could also glow green. It's in the Sonic mode. That's a really great suit. That was when he's during the big time storyline right before Spider Island. He developed the no kill rule. Like he already had one, but on that storyline, he decided that no one would die, not even the villains. Like he saves like a killer from getting killed, and so he can go to court and stuff like that. Like he will not let anyone die on his watch anymore. So he creates the bulletproof suit to help protect everyone.
Didn't he in Spider Island? Didn't he also have a suit that can like morph into other suits?
Right. Yeah, I think he did have one that's
kind of like what Iron Man did with the bleeding edge armor?
Yeah,
that can morph. I think it could.
So it may have been that. Yeah.
Man, but that's what he got Batman beat.
Yeah. Some of the other great suits is
black suit, probably
black suit,
classic.
Black suit's a classic. The Scarlet Spider Kane suit, the black and red.
Let's not forget. Speaking of black and red, Miles Morales.
Miles Morales is a great suit as well.
Spider-Gwen actually has a pretty decent looking costume.
She's a great costume. Yeah,
with the hoodie and the headphones and all that.
The Spider Women have a lot of really great costumes. In
Penny
there.
Parker. With the Spider Gundam.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And then the coolest of them all, the one that rules them all, Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham, yes. Spider-Ham is.
Isn't he a pig that got bitten by a radioactive human?
Yeah. He has a whole his arch nemesis is the Green Gobbler. It's a turkey Green Goblin character.
Oh my god.
All his villains are like animals, but not like octopus like Doc Ock, but it's like another animal combined with it or something.
Dr. Octopus one?
He's Dr. Octopussy, and it's like a cat. He's like a cat, and he's literally like a cat with like the octopus arms. Like he actually has
my god.
He has a Sinister Six, but like they're all animals.
He has an animal six.
Yeah. Yeah, like
what's the shocker?
I don't remember the rest of them. I just remember the Green Gobbler.
That's like Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew.
Yeah. It's really it's like
and then as soon as his entrance music is the James Bond theme.
Yeah, exactly. They have a lot of fun stuff. There's so many variations of the character, new suits he gets, side characters, clones.
Most of the time he makes the stuff himself. So
right.
He's very much like with the Batman. What makes Batman so cool is that conceivably it's possible that you could, to a certain extent, be Spider-Man, be Batman, because you can make a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, you could make.
You can't stick to walls.
Right.
You could probably make a way to stick to walls.
I'll have to show you a video after this that there's someone made something kind of like that.
Okay. But the point is that you could become Spider-Man presumably if you had the money and the time, and the know-how.
You could do a grappling hook gun. You could do like a swing or two, maybe.
Use the webs.
Yeah, some sort of webs. Spider-Man has a great. He's cool and he's simple. Nothing really crazy. Like Iron Man, I love Iron Man how he's so teched out and so many crazy inventions. But Spider-Man keeps things simple, and that's great about him.
Web shooters, suit, that's it.
Right. Yeah. He has a cool suit and he has webs to swing on to create nets. He has spider sense, so he can see things coming. Extra strength, and that a lot of his thing. It's not like super crazy tech. Gadgets galore, even though he'll develop it from time to time. He'll have fun stuff, right? But he's a simple, clean character. You can understand everything you need to know about him by taking a glance at him.
What would you say is the best Spider-Man movie?
Best Spider-Man.
This includes Spider-Verse and No Way Home.
Yeah,
I say No Way Home.
No Way Home is so good.
No Way Home is like neck and neck with Spider-Verse.
Right,
I think.
Yeah,
it's really hard to pick between those two.
Another aspect of Spider-Man that we could discuss is his animated shows where
that's a good idea.
He's had you don't understand, like he's had probably like 7 or 8 different animated series over the course of
I used to watch like a lot of the 90s animated one. That was where Peter Parker was quitting almost every episode. That's another thing about Spider-Man. He quits a lot.
Right. Yeah, he does.
Oh, I love how I also love how consistently on the TV shows and movies, he's always, for some reason, the media for no reason hates him.
Yeah.
Particularly J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, no, he has his opposition is great in all the series. I think the animated shows really helped drive his success also. Obviously, out of the gate success. But then you continue that with the animated series. He even had a 60s, like only like 2 or 3 years.
Show,
2 or 3 years after he was created, they created a show for him. The classic, Spider-Man spinning the walls.
That show screw with my head because previously my only Spider-Man experience was the Tobey Maguire, and I thought he had organic webbing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why are you building web shooters?
Yeah, it's funny. He's like the only one that has organic webbing.
They tried to put that in the comics and they took it out because that was stupid.
Right. That was one series, and then they have a 70s series, they have a 90s series, the one that you mentioned, which is popular.
There's Spiderman Unlimited, which was Spider-Man, but they had to send him in space because and they basically turned him into Iron Man because he had basically a nanotech suit that would that would form on him.
They had Spectacular,
which
Ultimate.
I'm still waiting for them to put on Disney Plus because I want to watch that.
Yep. So many great storylines, and they're doing the new show, which is a prequel to Homecoming. It fits in the MCU. So
maybe we'll see Uncle Ben.
Maybe we'll see Uncle Ben. Spider-Man has, his animated series reached a large audience. The target demographic, teens, young adults, kids. They really help you connect with the character. You get to see these villains, Doc Ock, throughout the generation.
Introduces you all to the character, the concept, and all that stuff. Which 90s? Not nice. Which anime show is your favorite? Mine is a tie between the 90s one and Ultimate.
Yeah, I grew up with.
I haven't seen Spectacular, so I can't make a decision on that.
I'm aware that Ultimate is. Spectacular is a lot of people's favorite show.
One of the best.
I haven't.
I would pick that if I had watched it.
I haven't checked it out. I grew up with Ultimate, and I really enjoyed it, even if they had a lot of non-Spider-Man characters in it for a while. But
I'm like, Thundra, what the hell are you doing here?
As it got to like season 3, like halfway through the show, it really got a lot more Spider-Man stuff.
And they did like integrate him with the Avengers. So
right.
Like, all right.
So that was good. I learned a lot from that. It was so good.
I liked how in Ultimate he would like go, all right, stop. Everything would freeze. And then he'd explain who this character is. So I'm like, okay, thank you.
Right. No, they
in chibi form.
In chibi form. The Spider-Man shows helped introduce me to the Spider-Man because not everyone reads the comics
or watches the movies even.
Yeah, and the TV show would be great because it adapted comic storylines. Like you would see Spider Island in one of the latest series. You see Superior Spider-Man, you see clones.
Superior is an episode.
Yeah,
there was kind of a 90s episode where they switch bodies. I think
there's one in the 2017 Spider-Man show that a lot of people hate.
Is that the Ultimate one?
No, that it's the one that came after Ultimate that no one really talks about too much. It's the most recent one.
Okay,
you probably haven't even seen it.
I don't think it's on Disney Plus.
No, it's on. It's not. I think it's. Actually, it is now. It is on Disney Plus. It's just the animation is kind of like worse than Ultimate.
Oh boy.
So, and a lot of people didn't like it. I kind of warmed up to it a little bit, but they actually did a really great Superior Spider-Man storyline where Doc Ock switches bodies with him.
Does he wear the suit?
Yeah, he wears the suit.
The Superior suit?
Yeah, he wears the Superior suit
with the arms and everything.
Yeah, he I believe he gets the arms.
Yes,
so that's good. And he does. And the cool thing about him in that storyline is Doc Ock survives after they switch bodies again.
Doesn't die.
He doesn't die. So he actually gets the.
Did he die in the comics?
In the comics, he dies. Then when he gives the body back, he dies. And after a couple of years, he came back somehow, right?
Because comic book.
But he didn't actually grow with that character. It was supposed to be an old backup in his mind, so he never grew from the experience of having the change of heart. In the show, they actually gave him that change of heart, and he lived past that point to be able to use that to help Spider-Man in the future. So I really enjoyed that storyline, how they adapted it there.
What's your favorite Spider-Man comics storyline? Mine is Spider Island, because I like the idea. Because it's here's the way Dan Slott wrote that book. It starts off where everyone suddenly has Spider-Man powers. So, okay, that's cool. Everyone's being Spider-Man.
Seems great. I mean, that's what everyone wants, great. Right?
Yeah, and then even a few of the Avengers and X-Men get the powers. Then all of a sudden, people start turning into spider monsters.
Like, oh crap! I mean,
then you find out Kane is a spider monster. Yeah. Eddie Brock anti-venom is curing people. Yeah. Then Captain America is a giant spider dude.
Right. Yeah, that was the plot twist.
And then we get that badass ending against, I think it was the giant spider queen.
Yeah, I think so.
Where Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers, throws Kane at her with the spikes out.
Yep. That is really good.
And I'm like, okay, so the bulletproof armor, it's killing people, Peter.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's really great. A lot of great stuff with that, you know.
So what's your favorite series?
Favorite series? I would say Ultimate for now. Ultimate's my favorite.
I mean comic.
Oh, comic. So favorite comic, I would probably have to go with I don't know. I really enjoyed the not Spider Island, but Ends of the Earth is really cool
with the dope ass Spider-Man Mark III armor.
Right. That's a really great one. Yeah, I have to. It's hard for me to pick a specific series on Spider-Man, but I would say that's one of my favorites.
He also has the coolest PlayStation game of all time.
Yes, his video games.
Which I'm really pissed that I can't play it because I have an Xbox. Yep. And then I realized I could play Halo. Then I'm like, okay, it's a worthy trade. But I've seen the story on a YouTube, so I know what happens, and I really like how they put so many suits in that game.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
And they added the ones from the movie in there.
I know, it's so good.
It's nice to know they're adding content to it, because that movie came out like a game. That game came out like last year, I think.
Right.
Even on the remaster, but they're still putting more content in there. I know people still play it.
That's fantastic.
They have marketing done. They had a Stan Lee cameo in a video game.
Yep.
He goes, "Your two are always my favorites."
Yep. No, it's Spider-Man. The video games has been a big part of it.
Spider-Man 3. I used to play that game a lot. I had Spider-Man 3, Web of Shadows, Spider-Man 2,
which was like the first one with like a fully open world.
Yes,
which was a big deal back in the day. We didn't have
Spider-Man Web of Shadows. I love because first off, it brought in so many Marvel characters.
Yeah, and
then like halfway through the game, New York is taken over by symbiotes. So like all of a sudden the game practically changes.
Yes, exactly.
And wait. The game starts off in the middle of a symbiote invasion. So like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, it's
and then Spider-Man 3, because it adds to the game, to the movie storyline, and makes it way better.
No, it's true. There's so many great storylines, and there's so many forms that you can use Spider-Man in, like with the movies, with TV shows, with games, action figures, comics, cosplay. There's so much great stuff you can do with Spider-Man, and he's a enduring character for all these years that everyone likes to see more stories of, and you get to see variations like Miles Morales, which is only like 6 or 7 years old. No, it's about 10 years old now. Sorry, 10 years old. It just had its anniversary, and he's a popular new Spider-Man.
And I would argue he was made popular by the Spider-Verse movie, because if you look at Miles Morales, no one liked him when he first showed up.
Yeah, I think because I mean they killed Peter Parker, which was a big deal.
Yeah, that was like, oh wait, what?
And he was an interesting new character.
Luckily, it was an Elseworld story.
Yeah,
because Dan Slott, when he killed Peter Parker, got like a lot of hate for that.
I can't imagine. But bringing Miles in, he was a cool, fresh take, and they developed him with cool characters, cool costumes, a new type of origin. Living with the baggage of knowing that Peter died and he could have done something about it was a big deal. And over the years, people have really learned more about him, and he's very popular. And obviously, the Spider-Verse movie really widened his audience to a lot more people now.
Yeah, because I know who the hell is I've heard of him. Right, yeah. I didn't know that much about him.
Right. Like he wasn't as mainstream as until Spider-Verse really made him mainstream. Because I mean, we've always seen, classic Peter Parker before.
Yeah. But I still think Marvel has issues using him because they put him in the main universe. Fine. They don't give him another name, so it's just Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which makes it look like he's a derivative of the other character. It doesn't make him look so important. And then they don't give him an arch enemy.
Yeah,
that's really annoying.
Prowler sometimes, but he's not the same.
Speaking of Spider-Man having great arch enemies,
I guess he has some things like the Tinker and the
give him another name too.
That's like the hard part, is that in the movies, in the animated movie, it made sense, right? The hard thing with having Miles around is that Peter will overshadow him if he's around, so because it's hard to have two.
When you think of Peter, you don't think Miles Morales. When you think of Spider-Man, you don't think Miles Morales automatically.
Right. It's always been Peter. And so when you have the main continuity of Peter and Miles running around, it feels awkward because Peter, I feel like, takes the spotlight away a lot. So it's hard to give Miles his own focus, give him his own villains and storylines, when you could just use that for Peter, right? So I think Miles gets the short end of the stick a little bit because it's hard to make him relevant with Peter obviously being the traditional, right? In the movie, in the comic where they made him Peter die, obviously Spider-Man got some more focus. Miles got more focus.
That made more sense because he was the only Spider-Man.
Right. It's funny because with the name also, they're both Spider-Man. That makes things complicated. In all the animated series he shows up in, they have struggled with the issue of Spider-Man and Spider-Man in the same show. I'll tell everyone that in Ultimate Spider-Man, which is when he first debuted in a TV show.
In the comics. The show.
In the show.
Okay.
Which
I'm confused here.
Yeah, in the show, which was only a few years after he was created. They were calling him Spider-Man also, and then they all said, "Hey, this is confusing. We shouldn't do this." And they called him Kid Arachnid, which I think was a new name.
That's not bad. They could just call him Arachnid if they don't want to call him Kid. There's easier ways to do this.
Then in the Spider-Man 2017 show, they called him Spy D, like SPYD.
That's stupid.
Which was really weird because
that is really stupid.
It was really dumb. They didn't want to call him Spider-Man again. And then in the latest kids preschooler Spider-Man show with, I'm not sure if you saw, they kind of look like bobbleheads.
Yeah, okay.
It's Gwen, Ghost Spider, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and then Miles Morales, Spin, like SPIN.
That's not bad.
That's a cool also. But it highlights the fact that in every show he's been in,
they're gonna have to.
They gave him a different
eventually name. Marvel will change his name.
It's kind of tough because I like.
He's a great character. I would have liked if they just called him Arachnid.
That'd be kind of cool. The hard part is that I actually want him to be called Spider-Man also because he's so cool in the suit. But it's just confusing because you can't have two people named Spider-Man. It's just really confusing.
And they're not going to get rid of Peter Parker.
Right.
They're not. No.
It'd be really tough. It's hard to have them at the same time. It's hard to do it at the same time because it gets confusing both.
It's not like it's impossible,
right?
Too.
The Spider-Man games, on the PS4.
What they did in the Miles game is that they just had Peter go to Europe for like a month.
Right. So that made sense. You had Spider-Man Peter in the first game, then in Miles Morales, Peter left, so you could give Miles his own focus. He called himself Spider-Man. he got his own identity with the costume. Now he came back. Now you're going to have Spider-Man 2 come out on the PlayStation 5, and it's going to be a bit confusing. And you see in the trailer that you're going to have both of them, obviously controlled. Maybe you can control both, switch between it or something.
Something like that.
It's going to be confusing when you have Spider-Man and Spider-Man. And they
may just change his name in that game.
They may end up changing his name.
That's what I feel like. Eventually, if they keep changing in every other medium but the comics, eventually they'll give him his own comics and identity. Right.
It's funny because a lot of people refer to him just as Miles Morales. Like that's kind of like how Jean Grey, you just referred to her by her name. Which is
weird because she actually has her own unique name.
Right. A lot of people refer to Miles just when they're talking to him, they just say Miles Morales instead of as his superhero name because it helps you differentiate it, and his name sounds pretty cool. So
that actually is pretty dope.
It is a good name.
Well, I feel like if because when they put him as Spider-Man, it just seems too much like he's a ripoff of Peter. It seems too much like all new, all different Marvel. When there was like, Riri Williams, Ironheart. Well, actually, they gave her a unique name.
Yeah, at least they gave her a good name.
It was like Ms. Marvel. Yeah. That was the issue there.
Yeah, I read part of Ironheart's first comic, and I thought it was actually pretty funny. When I said her origin
is that they wanted a intelligent like black woman to take over for Tony. Rhodes has a daughter.
Rhodey has a daughter?
Yeah, who actually fits more with the role. That's why the only reason why Bendis created Riri is because that way he can make more money off the royalties for the character.
Ooh, that's good.
Because otherwise they would have just used Rhodes' daughter to take over.
I would have loved
that. Would have made more sense.
Yeah, see Rhodey.
That's another reason why no one liked Riri, because why do we need you? We have someone that could do this.
Yeah, and like introducing her as a character was really cool, but it's like when you got rid of Iron Man was still really popular.
And they marketed her as the new Iron Man.
Right. Like no one I think would have a problem if you had Iron Man and Ironheart as like another comic run.
As an apprentice, a sidekick.
Right, learning from him, but it just kind of felt like they were getting rid of a really popular character. Which
in the MCU times, mind you, when Iron Man was still alive.
Right. I don't think that like I never read the comics, so I never really had an opinion one way or another. But I saw a lot of people upset about it back in
myself
the day.
included. But that was most of All New, All Different, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was also because we saw in All New, All Different that they were trying to get rid of many of the heroes and replace them. So it just felt like they were doing a lot of changes all at once that it kind of just compounded onto the problem.
Which I get that they wanted diversity. That's totally fine. I'm in favor of everyone seeing themselves in the heroes, which is why I think Miles Morales is a great character. Give them their own unique identity, and then they will be adopted eventually. Or find a writer that can do something interesting with the character, and then you can get it.
Hey, Miss Marvel is a great character.
If they found a writer that could most likely do something cool with her, probably.
I still,
although she's too much of a derivative of Carol Danvers.
I'm a big fan of Miss Marvel, everyone. Okay, she's a cool character. Whatever. I never read her comics, but she's a cool character.
She sucked in the game. There's a reason why
she was great in the game. I don't understand. You have a problem with her in the game. She was great in the game, from what I've seen.
The parts where I was forced to play as her were the worst parts of the game.
She was she was the heart of the story.
She's not supposed to. It's an Avengers game.
Well, it's not that.
Wait. It's not a. Then they should have called it Ms. Marvel.
That wouldn't sell as well because she's not as popular.
Exactly. I hate when they do that. Anyway,
I hate it when he does that.
Yeah. We kind of went too off topic with that. But anyway, I think that's a good place to leave it unless you have anything to add about how awesome Spider-Man is.
No, that sounds about right to me.
Wait, what's your favorite Spider-Man game, real quick? Mine is Web of Shadows.
Web of Shadows.
Because they bring in so many cool, and it was more of those choose your own ending things where we can make choices, and that would change which characters you interacted with, like Black Cat or Moon Knight.
Yeah,
you could fight a Venomified Wolverine.
Right.
And I think in one of the endings, Black Widow hires the Venom Wolverine to kill Spider-Man.
Right. For me, I have to go with Spider-Man Unlimited. I mean, it was just a mobile running game, but there was a lot of lore in it, and they actually had like adapted comic storylines into like weekly events and had little cutscenes and stuff like that.
Was it a swing game as well? Would you swing?
You could swing also.
Yeah, because I was about to say that seems kind of like
you ran and dodged obstacles, and you had swing segments, wall climbing, fighting against enemies like boss fights. It was a really in-depth running game.
I should try that out.
You could. not in existence anymore, sadly. But it was the greatest game back when it was around. Had 200 plus Spider-Man characters and Venom characters. It was so much fun. I learned so many Spider-Man storylines from that game because they would have like descriptions of the
They have
costume.
a No Way Home app.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find to see if there's an actual Spider-Man game.
They don't have one anymore. The mobile Spider-Man,
Why?
The mobile Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 games were really great. They were so in-depth, open world. I never beat it because it was so long. It was great. Those
open world games I would never want to because I could just explore.
Yeah, those were really fun. Also,
all the mini games were kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, 3 had a pretty decent game, I would say, because they brought in Kraven, they brought in the Lizard, they brought in a mutated lizard. You had to fight Venom. You got to fight. You got to do the scenes in the end. Plus, I unlocked the ability to play as the new Goblin, so I could just free roam as the new Goblin. I would just fly up and just drop pumpkin bombs everywhere.
Nice.
All right, so that's a good place to leave it. We will have a happy holidays, everyone. We will see you next week for our last episode of the year, I believe. And hope you guys have enjoyed this year of Under Two Capes. We'll be sure to do a year in review episode or Spider Suit episode next week. And hope you guys have a great holidays with all your families, and stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you.